Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Bible study. We are in Proverbs chapter 4 today. Sorry, I don't have any video today. It's just going to be audio, but I think we'll be all right. All the key information is here on our PDF, which you can download on our website at tobelikechrist.com. It's totally free, and look out for in the future, there'll be a book available on Amazon. And when the book is ready, I'll put the link in the description if you're watching this in the future. It might be ready already. Okay, Proverbs 4. First of all, let's talk about our outline of Proverbs and where this chapter fits. So we've broken Proverbs down into three different sections. The first one is the way of wisdom versus the way of folly. That's the first 9 chapters. And then we have the Proverbs of Solomon in chapters 10 through 29. And then the Proverbs of Augur and Lemuel, that makes up the last 2 chapters. So we are in this first section, the first 9 chapters. We're on chapter 4 today, the way of wisdom versus the way of folly. And you'll see that chapter 4 is very similar in content to chapter 3, so it makes sense that it falls into this category. Our key themes for today, number 1, a father's advice to his son regarding the virtue of wisdom. And then number 2, wisdom will guide a person on the path of righteousness. Without wisdom, a person is destined to swerve into paths of wickedness and darkness. Our definition section has but one word today, and that's the word garland in verse 9. This is a wreath of leaves, sometimes flowers, that's worn on the head, and it was often bestowed on someone who was being honored for something or someone who had won a victory of some sort. If we go down on our page number 1 to our little man here, he's always thinking very deeply about the scriptures. He's going to be my stand-in for me today since my video is not here. But I just use this section to highlight a portion of the text that stands out to me. And today's is that the path of righteousness is like the light of dawn, which shines brighter and brighter until full day. And it's wisdom that's supposed to lead us and keep us on this path of righteousness. Let's talk about that a little bit more in our outline. So there's 27 verses in this chapter, and I've kept them all in one section, a father's wise advice. And as I mentioned, the contents of chapter 4 are pretty similar to chapter 3. And once again, we see Solomon positioning himself as a father, speaking to his son and trying to give him wise counsel. Solomon once again reminds his son not to forget his instructions and his encouragements to seek wisdom. King Solomon had received wise counsel from his father. Do you remember who his father was? King David. And he then wanted to offer the same thing to his son. If Solomon's son embraced wisdom, it would keep him, guard him, exalt him, honor him, and be a garland and a crown on his head. Wisdom teaches a man how to walk without stumbling and how to run without being hindered. Solomon warns his son never to let go of wisdom once he has his grip around it, once he obtains it, not to be negligent with it. Otherwise, he might find himself on the path of the wicked, with men whose hearts are constantly bent on doing evil, and some of those men are described in this chapter. Wisdom will keep him on the path of righteousness. He describes the path of the wicked as one of deep darkness, but the path of righteousness as one of light, which shines brighter and brighter until full day, that verse that we just read in verse 18. Proverbs chapter 4 concludes with Solomon giving his son a few more pieces of sage advice. He tells him to guard his heart diligently, to avoid crooked speech, and to keep his eyes directly forward so that he's not going to swerve off the path of righteousness either to the right or to the left. So that is our overview of Proverbs chapter 4. We're about halfway now through the first section of the book, so that's pretty exciting. Let's talk about an application before we finish up. Don't let good generational habits die with your generation. Solomon says in this chapter that he appreciated his father instructing him in the ways of wisdom, and he's determined to do the same for his son. If you have come to appreciate something that your parents did for you, especially if it relates to your spiritual development and your relationship and your walk with God, find ways to pass that down to your children. Maybe you don't have to do it in the exact same way that your parents did, but find a way to give them that same benefit. Satan is going to try to get you to be lazy or to be negligent or apathetic or just not really to care or to be concerned about passing on that blessing to your children. He's going to try to get you to stop a godly generational habit at your generation so that it doesn't go any further. Godly generational habits are very dangerous to what Satan is trying to accomplish. And so he's going to try to get you to stop. And my encouragement to you today, and I think Solomon's encouragement would be, don't stop. Make sure that you're giving that blessing and passing down that blessing to your children. We often speak about ending generational trauma in families or bad habits that have been passed down through families, but ensuring the continuation of generational blessings is just as, if not more, important. That's our study today in Proverbs chapter 4. Lord willing, we'll be back, and hopefully my video will be back tomorrow as we study Proverbs chapter 5. Thanks for joining me today.